This documentary was shot primarily during the last two and final reunions of the American Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor during 2008 and 2009. The group had been in existence since 1946.
I believe that those who fought and preserved our freedoms during World War II truly belong to the greatest generation. And I think when you pick up an artifact or a picture that relates to the time frame of 1941 to 1945, it hits home that they paid the ultimate price, these men.
Well, I went 9 days with no food. We'd walk about 8 or 9 miles a day from one little village to the next. And maybe one day we wouldn't walk at all. We'd just sit in the sun. But they didn't let us do anything. When got no food at all, they told us the next village would get food, and we didn't.
As I walked down the highway, some of the fellows fell out. They either shot them or they bayoneted them.
Bataan Peninsula, April 9, 1942. General Edward King has surrendered his starved, diseased, and exhausted troops, approximately 14,000 Americans and 60,000 Filipinos, who together had been holding off the Japanese for 4 months. The ensuing days and weeks would come to be known as the Bataan Death March. Then, on May 6, 1942, General Jonathan Wainwright surrenders approximately 12,000 Allied personnel from the tiny island of Corregidor, just off Manila Bay. Together, they would suffer, try to survive, and in many cases perish during their captivity. This is their story.
5 o'clock in the morning, they woke me up and told me that we were at war.
We got the word that they bombed Pearl Harbor. Couldn't believe it. Next thing I know, the planes was over Manila. Then we did believe it. Then I knew it.
Well, we got our guns. I had a .45, and we had dug trenches around the barracks and the field there. And of course, it's very sandy there, so when the bombs hit, the trenches all collapsed. So actually, we were right on top of the trenches, shooting at the Japanese with pistols, rifles, old Lewis guns. And after the bombers left, then the carrier planes came over and strafed the field for about another hour. And of course, we shot at them, but I don't think we ever hit anyone. But it was very chaotic. No one knew what to do or where to go, actually.
Bataan was a peninsula that was kind of tailor-made for defensive fighting, protracted defensive warfare. War Plan Orange was essentially an idea to get the soldiers into the peninsula and dig in as much as they could and prepare for kind of what they assumed would be an inevitable onslaught.
They were all around us. One came so close it sounded like a bee coming up on my ear. And I thought, this ain't right. So I'm looking, and it was a sniper. He was up in the tree. So I had to let this guy down. I laid him down, and I said, and I got that sniper. And then there's about 4 or 5 others in there. We were surrounded.
Well, I happened to be in the last tank before the general came through with his Jeep, and he gave me instructions at that time to notify everyone that there was a surrender, a code, and that we all had to destroy all of our arms and ammunition. I cried.
Well, the night of 8th of April, 1942, word came over from our headquarters in Corregidor that all forces on Bataan would be surrendered the next morning on the 9th of April, 1942, and our officers were given instructions on where to take us, where we would congregate, and we would be taken prisoner.
Well, we stayed on Corregidor for a few days.
Yeah.
And they rounded us up. We didn't know what was going to happen. I had a watch and a ring, and I had some pesos, and I threw them, and took the ring off and the watch and threw it over a cliff. And the funny thing about them Japanese, though, they'd chuck you down and take what you had.
One of the Japanese guards grabbed one of them pretty little Filipino girls, take her behind a shack there, and you'd hear some screams, and you knew that she was getting raped. And at one time, that one of them Japanese grabbed a baby away from one of the young girls, throw it up in the air and catch it with a bayonet. I saw this. I know it happened because I saw it myself.
We were forced to hold oak chairs, heavy office chairs, above our heads for 4 hours, and every time we would lower them, they'd beat us across the back and arms. And after 4 hours of that, they took us into the office and tied us down to a bench, put a fire extinguisher hose into our mouths, and pumped water into our lungs. And that went on for a while, and then after that we were forced to stand at attention in front of the guards there at the main gate. And that went on for days, 24 hours, without food or water.
One of the outstanding events, besides the starvation and the sickness, the diarrhea, lack of food, lack of water, lack of treatment, and not being able to come on topside for fresh air, and sometimes having the hatches closed if we were noisy, which reduced the airflow more, and passing out from the heat, was right off of Formosa. Before we got to Formosa, our U.S. submarines attacked our convoy, a small convoy, say a dozen ships, and we were kept on the outer ring of these ships. And submarine at dark fired 2 fish at us, 2 torpedoes. Both torpedoes went beneath, and we felt them go beneath our ship. It was a major help. My religious upbringing and Sunday school, church, and strong faith of my family had a major thing in bringing me through, because I knew there were people back home pulling for me too. And I never gave up hope, I never gave up faith, and I always believed.
At Cabanatuan, what kind of work did you do? What kind of work did you do as a POW?
As a POW? Oh, we did everything. Mostly dig graves. Dig graves. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'd have to 30, 40 a day.
Did you catch the malaria?
Yeah, we all did. There was no way of escaping it.